Hi, Kris LeSueur with the Preferred Experience podcast. This is episode 31. The topic today, or what I'm titling it today, is What is Your Why? I think I'm still recovering from the workout this morning. This topic's really huge to me. I've learned a lot from it over the last 10, 15 years, maybe more since I've started doing all kinds of different events over time. And one of the, I think we always refer back to the hardest thing we've been through. So for me, that's been some endurance events. And one of them was the SilFit Kokoro camp that I did almost 8 years ago. We actually had Sonia Dodge come in this morning and do a workout with us. She started with us this week. And it was really fun to see her and brought back some memories of Ben Dodge, her husband, and I. Ben is a real good friend of mine and somebody that I learned a lot from. So he actually pushed me. He's one of the influences that pushed me into doing this crazy event years ago. It was a 55-hour no sleep boot camp put on by Navy SEALs. I've talked about it before. But just a life changer, I'm sure, for him. And he's done a bunch of other things too. But one of the things that I refer back to a lot is we were starting out this event. The person that is in charge of it, that owns the company SilFit's Mark Devine. And he walks in and I'm in this room with 28 other guys and 6, 7 other former Navy SEALs. I am feeling like a fish out of water. I'm in there and I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I got myself into? A lot of these guys in there, they're like just the 1%ers. And to make matters worse, this weekend that we did it, we had a bunch of CrossFit athletes, elite athletes that had been to the games that were invited to this event. Adrian Conway, I'm blanking on their names. He was one of them. Blanking on one of the names. There were some big names there. And Michael Caju was there. He was in our group. All kinds of big names that I'll see every once in a while now, and I'm like, wow, I did an event with them. And so I'm sitting in there, and there were a lot of other normal people. I consider myself a normal person in that respect. There were all these people in there, and Mark Devine comes in, and I'm feeling a little intimidated by him at this point. And he asks us, "What is your why? Why are you here?" He goes, "You're going to need to know that. If you don't have that figured out, I want you to take some time to figure that out over the next little bit as we get everything rolling." And, there were definitely people in there that knew their why. I felt I knew my why, and I did. As I kept going through that day, I really learned, actually those 2 days, I really learned what was pushing me. And so fast forward a couple hour into it, and we're doing all this PT, just like air squats, push-ups, burpees, pull-ups, that kind of stuff. Nothing real crazy, but they're keeping us going and pushing us. And there's this guy that is huge. He's a firefighter. He's in great shape and just looked awesome, really strong looking. And the cadre, the Navy SEALs there, they are telling him no rep. And it's really getting in his head, and you can see he's getting frustrated, and they could sense it. And they just latched onto this guy and were relentless with him. Fast forward 15 more minutes. This guy is ripping off his shirt. He's pissed off. He's just so mad. And he's like, says some nice words, and he's like, "I'm out of here." He leaves. And they tried to talk to him, and he's like, "Nope, I'm out of here." And he was just frustrated. And we talked about him as we were going through that weekend, and he just didn't have a strong why on why he was there. I think he just wanted to prove that he was the tough guy. And being the tough guy doesn't always pay off. You have to have a why, a good reason why. So we'll see people come in here to CrossFit, and they just want to be like the fastest, the best, and they don't always last. But the people that are coming in, day out, and doing their work, and that have a good reason why they're here, they're making huge gains and doing really well. And I was listening to a story yesterday about a guy named Ed Milet, and he was on the Spartan podcast with Joe DeSena. It was episode 576, if you want to listen to it. He was really cool to listen to, and I loved his why, his reason why. Joe had asked him, you're in really good shape, and he was in his 50s, and he's like, what has kept you going? And he's like, he tells a story about how he went to the doctor one day in his 20s, upper 20s, and he had he thought he had a heart attack, and it sounds like he did, and he was getting everything checked out, and he had his arteries checked out, and the doctor comes in, and he said, "Do you have kids?" And he's like, "Yeah, I have a daughter." And he goes, "What's her name?" And he's like, "It's Bella." And he's like, "What's going on? Tell me what's going on." And he is talking to him, and the doctor said, "Well, if you want to go to Bella's wedding, if you want to be the one walking her down the aisle and not some other man, you're going to need to start figuring things out." So he started getting in shape. He started eating right, doing the right things. And on the days he didn't want to go to the gym, he would say, "This is for Bella." And that's what would get him going. And we have to have that Bella story. We have to have that why. My why, as I'm going through that SILFIT experience, we're 36 hours in, somewhere in that area. And it's like Saturday afternoon. I am just feeling like death. I'm just beat. And one of the SILs there, his name is Brad McLeod. He has an awesome company called SIL Grinder PT. And he comes up to me, and he's become a friend. I'll reach out to him every once in a while, and we're Strava friends, and he does all kinds of cool adventures, and he's somebody I really look up to. Well, he, before I went there, was training me on how to prepare for this event. And he walks up to me and just kind of pulls me to the side. And he's like, "Remember your why." And I remembered what that was, and it was my family. And I know I've shared this story in the past before, but my family is my why. That's what keeps me going. And I can get even further down on that. But as I'm going through that tough event, I just kept reminding myself, you trained really hard for this. You spent a lot of time. These events we train for, it's not the event that is like the part you learn the most from. It's the journey to it. And so we're going through this, and I'm thinking about that, and that kept me going. I was like super close to quitting, and I don't quit. I don't like to quit on anything. And I was just feeling, it was just one of those moments where you don't think you can keep going. But that was one of those times where I learned that you can keep going. And we had almost 20 hours left at that point, 15 to 20 hours left at that point. And I was able to make it through it. And it was because I knew my why. I knew why I was there. I had reasons why I wanted to complete it. There were things in the past there was one thing in the past that I'd quit on, and it wasn't an endurance event. It was actually a mission for my church, and had gone out on that. And I've never really shared this story on this before. And I made it out about 4 months. And when I came back, I had people that were saying, "You're always going to be a quitter." And that's always just kind of rang just been in the back of my head. Whenever I want to quit, I think about those people that were hating on me and that were saying those things. And that pushes me to keep going, not just in endurance events, but in relationships, in friendships, and just whatever work, whatever I'm doing, it pushes me. I remember those times when we're going through a crazy year in the gym and we're not able to open, and we've been closed over 4 months out of 8 months this year. And, that's what keeps me going, is knowing my why. And our gym family here has become my why. And I've really found that over time, our why can change. So our why could just be our family. It could just be whatever we decide. It could be Bella for that guy, Ed. There's all kinds of different things. And we just have to constantly evolve and figure out why we want to do certain things and why we're going to push harder. And this last week in our family, and on Tirsa's side of the family, we had a really tragic thing happen. And Tirsa was actually at a funeral this last week. And it was for her cousin that unexpectedly passed away. He's 28 years old. And turned out he had an enlarged heart, and he just didn't wake up after he went to bed a little over a week ago. And so she went to that funeral and wanted to support her family that was going through that, her aunts and uncles and her parents. And she gets back on Sunday, drives back from southern Utah, and she's home for a few hours, and we get a call at 8 o'clock that night, right around there, and she found out that her cousin had committed suicide. And he had been going through some hard times, had some PTSD from being in the military, and had been going through a lot of different things. And I don't mean to turn this into such a downer, a bummer, but I just think, man, what if he knew his why? What if he had adapted his why? I know he had a good why. I knew him. And he had such a good heart. And he just went through a hard time. And we need to know our why. We need to know what it is, because it's going to make a huge difference in our lives and in all our family and friends around us. And like in his case, his brothers and sisters, his parents, his cousins, all those different people. It could have changed if he had known his why. And I encourage you to do that. As you're doing that, these workouts that we do make a huge difference for what we do in our lives. I really feel that starting our day off with a workout or making that time during the day to do a workout really tells a lot about us. I feel that it really helps you become better in so many different areas of your life. And, think about what that why is. What gets you here? What gets you going? What keeps you going when the things get tough? Because you're going to have years like 2020 happen where your whole world's going to get shook up. You're going to go through hard experiences. There's all kinds of different things. So I encourage you to know what your why is. And I encourage you to comment below. We put this on Facebook, we put it on Instagram, we put it on YouTube, we put it on our website, and also on all the podcast channels. But I'd love it if you would comment below what your why is. And you don't have to go real deep into it unless you're feeling like that'll help other people. But knowing your why and sharing it with other people will really encourage people to find their why. I've had discussions with people that they're like, I just don't know my why. And I think they do. They just need to find it and take the time to figure it out. But figure that out. I encourage you, if you don't know what it is, just take some time. Go on a walk. Keep maybe put some nice music on and just get your mind flowing, and you'll figure it out. And that's all I have for today. So know your why. When you do, it makes your life so much better, and it keeps you going. And we sure appreciate you being on here today and listening to this. Would love it if you'd comment below, that you would subscribe, that you would share this with your friends, that you would do a review. When you do that, it really helps us to spread what we're sharing here, and help. Our why here is to help people become better, and that's not just in the gym, it's in their everyday life. And that's what the Preferred Experience podcast is about. That's why I started it, is I want to help you become better. And that's it. Thanks a lot. Have a great week, and we will see you soon. Bye.